Okay, so continuing with my solo campaign, just for some context, because if you watched my previous video about morale, party morale, and personality, it was a bit of an experiment just to kind of see if it went down well. I thought it'd be kind of useful for people to see, kind of how I approach my solo games, how I approach my rules, because I don't play published rules, well, as in solo published rules. I make my own solo rules. Sorry, I just hit my microphone. I make my own solo rules, as I've mentioned many times before. So if you've been following my channel for a while, you're probably aware of this. And these rules develop throughout my solo campaigns, like the whole journey from start to finish. I'm constantly kind of revising and reiterating over the rules that already exist. So while I'm playing, I'm writing rules, and a lot of people ask me questions about the rules that I use. So I thought this might be valuable and give some clarity to kind of what my approach is. I'm not going to sit down and go through my whole rule book. I do hope that one day I have sort of a polished, finished product that I might look into sort of publishing, self-publishing somehow. But I'll cross that bridge when I come to it, and I'm not working towards a target. I'm just kind of enjoying being involved in this amazing hobby. I'm in no rush. So anyway, just for some context, I'm currently kind of soloing my way through a basic BECMI or BECMI D&D module, the infamous B1 in Search of the Unknown. I've been playing it for about excuse me, about a week, which in solo gaming terms, the way I approach it, not not a great deal has happened. This is what I call my adventure journal, which is what I use to record the adventure as it progresses. I sort of create my own little forms to kind of help me keep on top of the rules, and approach it in a systematic way. Eventually, these adventure journals get turned into my YouTube solo campaign videos that are more like performed in a narrative style. But I guess it's accurate to say that they are almost like recap videos, because all the work of actually playing through the game goes on kind of behind the scenes. And then I make a recording that is designed to be more entertaining and more immersive, and it's something that I can look back on as well, and kind of immerse myself in. It makes everything just feel a lot more tangible, if that makes sense. But anyway, my adventure journal. So I keep track of rounds and turns in this column here. I am currently on sort of turn 6 of this current adventure, and 29 rounds have passed. And if you watched my previous video, the situation as it stands, I'm not going to go through the whole kind of story up until this point in the game. I will make a recap video or a more formal kind of narrative video once I've completed the whole kind of In Search of the Unknown campaign or adventure. It'll be lengthy, so you could consider it more as a campaign, but the way I see a campaign is, it's the entire history of that world as far as I've interacted with it under that particular campaign setting or rule set. That's how I see it. But anyway, where I am at the moment is after an encounter with some orcs, an orc guard is attempting to flee. The orc guard is the only remaining member of this tribe of orcs that the party have encountered. And in order to determine whether the party were going to pursue, I did a morale check for the party. I have rules that kind of are used to determine how what the overall kind of party morale is and how to work that out. If you watch my previous video, I go into detail about that. So the party are going to pursue the orc guard to prevent it basically from warning other members of its tribe who are potentially residing here in the stronghold. So I'm currently looking at the evasion checklist in the rules encyclopedia. So we've handled the decision to pursue. So now it's the next step, which is the attempt to evade. The DM rolls on the evasion table. If the PC succeed, they have evaded the pursuers. Go to step 6. Obviously, the attempt to evade is going to be by the monsters. Well, the monster, not the party. So the interesting thing with this table is it seems very much designed for handling the evasion of the party and pursuit by monsters, but not the other way around. But it does say here, one party decides to evade if the evading party is not surprised and the other party is surprised. Evasion. No, sorry, it's this one. The PCs decide for themselves whether they want to pursue, and the monsters make a morale check to see if they pursue. So obviously, these rules are designed to handle evasion from the perspective of monsters trying to evade, but it seems that the rules have kind of not been written robustly enough. I guess for want of information, the best way to handle it is we look at the party size of the monsters, and there is literally one. And then we look at the number of party members encountered, which is 4. So the orc guard has a 90% chance to evade. And there's no adjustment to the roll because none of those conditions apply in this scenario. So I'm going to roll a percentile die. 82. So the orc does manage to evade. So the party attempts to grapple the beast before it can escape, but it slips out of sight before they can act. So combat started on turn 6, round 27. And combat always lasts a full turn. So if it started on round 27 of turn 6, it's now round 27 of turn 7, which would make it 6:54 a.m. This is my time tracker here, which helps me keep track of my solo campaign as time is expelled. So the actual adventure started at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's now coming up to 7 a.m. I use what I like to do is I use abbreviations in here. W means a wandering monster. It needs to be a check needs to be made for a wandering monster. These abbreviations, I use the initials of party members, and then I have a little reference sheet here, which is kind of my useful time tracker key. So W is wandering monster check. You've got rest required, status effect ends, status effect starts. A torch has been lit, a torch has been extinguished. You get the idea. So two of my characters, Theris and Velin, lit a torch on the first turn. It's not going to be long before that torch is extinguished because it only lasts for 6 turns. So one thing I'm going to sort of develop in this session is a kind of cheat sheet for combat completion, because my party have just finished a big combat with some orcs, which I've tracked on these charts here. So this is something I'm developing. It's like an encounter tracker, and it takes an encounter from start to finish. It includes the reaction rolls for the party. Excuse me. And I'm tracking ammunition, things like that, tracking all the stats, initiative, morale references, status effects. So I'm developing this at the moment. Written orders, which is something I like to do. I like to kind of roll up the actions of the party and the monsters. So I'll kind of dig into that, at some point. But at the moment where I am in this current adventure is the encounter's over. We've handled the evasion at the end of the combat, and now we're at kind of the combat completion stage, which involves sorting out how much ammunition has been used, whether any can be retrieved, and whether there's been any treasure uncovered, etc. So looking at kind of like what ammunition was used, Nico lost an arrow in round 1 and 2, and in round 3 Canis lost a dagger. So here's what I've come up with for my method of ammunition retrieval. I just feel like it adds a bit of realism to the game. To after a combat has ended, during the aftermath of battle, it would make sense for a character. And in a group game, you're going to get this all the time. Players are going to say, can I retrieve my arrows, or can I get my dagger back that I just threw? So, yeah, you either say yeah, which I think, or no, and I think just a simple yes or no isn't really adequate for kind of keeping that realism. So I've come up with this. You roll percentile dice. If you roll 75%, you get all your ammunition or thrown weapons back. If you roll 50%, then you get half of your ammunition, and the other half is either lost or broken. And if you roll less than 50%, all of it is lost or broken. So I will roll for Nico first, who he lost 2 arrows. So let's see what happens. So he rolled a 53, which is not good enough. Okay, a slight tweak actually. I think this is a much better way of representing it. So you roll a D100 against it. I'll roll again since seeing as I've changed the chart. So I rolled a 64. So that would be half of the ammunition retrieved. So essentially, Nico can retrieve a single arrow. And as for Canis, does he get his dagger back? He rolled a 51. So I've put here, if only one weapon or piece of ammunition was used, then it is found broken. So unfortunately, he's walked over to the corpse of the orc that he threw his dagger at, and he's tried to pull the knife out, and the pummel has just come away from the blade, and now it is completely useless. And of course, all this will form the aftermath of battle. So it will happen in the same turn as the combat.